Hey Boblins, I'm Lucy, and this is Pussy Powered. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a little bit more about cultivating desire. Very commonly in long-term relationships, whether you have mismatched desire or you're pretty much about the same as far as sex drive goes, there comes a time where desire isn't spontaneous anymore. It requires a little more effort, or a lot more effort. Now, you may have heard that there are two different key types of desire. There's the spontaneous desire that you have in the beginning of a relationship. Fireworks, chemistry, everything is new, everything is passionate and hot. And then you have what's called responsive desire, the kind of desire that responds to the invitation, to showing up and allowing yourselves to get aroused, which that is another important piece that is not talked about that often. Sometimes the physical arousal is what helps you to cultivate the desire and then cultivate deeper connection. So just a little side note. Now, another thing I want to mention is that it is very common in any relationship to have a low desire partner and a higher desire partner. And this is not a fixed thing. Sometimes the previously low desire partner becomes the higher desire partner. And there are so many different variables that contribute to this, from life stresses, big life changes, health issues, financial issues, family relationship issues. So many different things can impact the level of desire that you're feeling for sex and or for your partner. So again, another thing to keep in mind as you navigate this process of cultivating desire. And here's the thing about cultivating desire, y'all. When you do cultivate it, when you do put the effort and the energy and the intention into it, it is so much more fulfilling and satisfying and passionate and connected than it was even in the beginning when you had that spontaneous desire. So whether you are finding yourself in more of the lower desire state or the higher desire state, please do not give up on creating the sex life and the intimacy and the passion and connection that you really crave. Now, along that note, let's talk a little bit more about what to do if you are the higher desire partner or the lower desire partner in the relationship. Both can be equally frustrating. Believe me, I know I have been in both. I have gotten to experience how frustrating and heartbreaking it can be to be the higher desire partner, to experience those feelings of rejection and not feeling like I'm enough after so many years of being the low desire partner where I felt also like I wasn't enough and wherever I was at was also not worth accepting. So I'm going to speak to both perspectives here. First, let's talk about the lower desire partner. The low desire partner must be honored. They must be honored for where they are and not rushed or pressured or demanded to fulfill any need. This is the hardest part for the higher desire partner to really understand. And again, still hard for me to remind myself of that sometimes when I find myself in that situation. So what does that mean? To honor the lower desire partner and not pressure them and not rush them or judge them or place demands on them. It means meeting them where they're at, genuinely, without the expectation that it's going to lead to sex. Without the expectation that if I do this, then they're gonna get hard or they're gonna get wet, they're gonna get horny, they're gonna wanna fuck me. Just ease into it. Let them know that they are seen. Let them know that you care about them and you accept them where they are. And remember, please, that acceptance doesn't mean quitting, or that this is as good as it's gonna get, or this is as big of a person as this person is going to be, or as good of a lover as this person is going to be. It's really coming to a place of acceptance with what is. Being able to say, this is what it is. Okay, and now what am I committed to doing? What is my part? How can I show up? Not only as the lover that I would want, but really as the lover that my partner wants. And oftentimes when you're in a long-term relationship, it doesn't look the way that it did at the beginning of the relationship or maybe even last week. Sometimes you've really got to take your time to relearn your person, which I know can be so frustrating. But in this way, you create more safety for them to open up and begin to dip their toes into other things. But again, you're not doing this so that they will do that. You're doing this because you care about them, because you are invested in this relationship and your sex life is important to you. Now, let's talk about the higher desire partner. Okay, look, people have needs, right? We have physical needs, emotional needs, sexual needs, mental needs. This is not about numbing them or toning them down or pretending that they're not there, repressing them, none of that bullshit. Instead of trying to figure out how to stop needing so much, learn to hurt through the pain. Learn to create from your longing and learn to keep your heart open, truly open. even when you experience the most gut-wrenching rejection. For you, if you're the higher desire partner, the biggest challenge is in meeting your partner where they're at without abandoning or denying your desires. And while there may be some seasons where it feels absolutely impossible to negotiate and find some kind of middle ground where you can both be satisfied, it is absolutely key that you keep the conversation open. Which, by the way, for some tips on how to do exactly that, check out my free erotic communication guide at the link in the description below. And now, speaking on the physiological aspect of a higher desire partner's needs. If you do not have one already, I would highly encourage you to develop some kind of a self-pleasure ritual where you can keep stoking the fires of your sexual desire without, again, numbing them or suppressing, repressing them, pretend that it's not an important part of your life, and keep your sexual aliveness. Because remember, it's not just about sex. Your sexual aliveness fuels everything. When that part of your life is suffering, I guarantee other things are suffering. The way you're relating to other people in your life, the way you're relating to your kids, the way you're creating in your business, the way you feel creating in your business. Do you want to feel like it's a grind and a hustle and an endless drain on your energy and your mental capacity? Probably not. Especially not when it can feel so much better and so much more in flow and at ease, so much more pleasurable. So this is a conversation that both partners would benefit from having. How will you be taking care of your own sexual desires, physiological needs, while you are also holding space and being patient with your partner without any expectations or pressure or rush? And that is for you two to decide. Now, when you're both ready to begin putting a little more intentional effort into this really key part of your relationship, here are a few things that you can do. 1, have ongoing communication about your sexual desires, your fantasies, and your kinks. Do not assume that your partner is into the same thing that they were into before. We are not fixed beings. We are fluid. We are expansive. We are ever-changing. And so are our desires. Now, before you go thinking, oh my God, that's just too much to process, I barely have enough bandwidth in my life to do all these other things, let alone think about what my partner even likes anymore. It's a lot of work. Yeah, it is. But here's the great news about that. You constantly get to create something exciting and fresh and alive. So for this, sometimes simply shifting the way you're looking at it will make all the difference in the world. And it will definitely impact the energy that you show up with in your conversations. 2nd, carving out time for sex and erotic play. Again, if there's no spontaneous desire, then what the fuck are you waiting for? It's not just gonna pop up by itself. Work with responsive desire, which is something that doesn't happen on its own. You have to show up for it with the intention of creating it. Again, this doesn't mean that you show up with the intention of having your regular sex, whatever that looks like, but you show up with the intention of being intimate and unplugging from the world, seeing this human being, this soul that's in front of you, looking into each other's eyes, connecting, seeing each other, especially if your life is fast-paced and stressful and there's a lot going on. We often take for granted what's right in front of us and don't realize what we had until it's gone. So don't let it get to that point. 3rd, you can create sexual tension through extended foreplay, such as sexting. I'm not gonna tell you exactly how to sext or what to say or how to say it. This is something that you're gonna have to explore and get creative with on your own. What I wanna emphasize here is that the foreplay doesn't begin 5 or 10 or 15 minutes or whatever before penetration happens. It begins the moment that sex ends, or the moment that aftercare ends, ideally. This is what keeps stoking the fires and keeps the embers hot, so that when it's time to really light that fire, you're not starting with cold coals. You got some groundwork laid, some heat. And finally, introducing new toys, positions, and techniques, and new kinks. This is one of the more obvious ways that you probably hear the most about to spice things up in the bedroom and keep things fresh and exciting. Although notice that I'm putting it at the end of this list because it's more like a cherry on top. Without the other foundational stuff, it doesn't really stick. It might feel exciting and great and all for a little bit, and then you find yourself back in the old patterns. So as much as you can, integrate all of these when you're ready to cultivate more desire in your relationship. And before I wrap up for today, I would love to hear from you in the comments below what has helped you cultivate desire in your relationship and what has been the payoff and the positive impact of doing that. Alright, wild ones, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with some friends, and subscribe for more on sexual empowerment and liberation for women and people with vulvas. And again, to check out my free erotic communication guide, check out the link in the description below. And if you're ready to begin more erotic play in your relationship, check out the 25 days of play, also in the description below. In the meantime, here's to your awakening and your pleasure for a pussy-powered life.